Codeowners is one of the important thing in GitHub. So what it does, if I go to any repositories, so yesterday we had demonstrated pull request raising and then pull request approvers when getting taking an approval from the required reviewer and then approving it. Okay, let me show it one more time. All right. So what it does, okay, being in the master branch, let me create a feature branch. Okay, so how to create a feature branches? Like we just click here and then feature, like you can give any name of your feature branch. So I'm going to create a feature branch from the master branch. Now I created a feature branch and then checked out to feature branch 2 as well. Now currently I'm in feature branch 2. So this is where we can create certain folders and all. Now let me, okay, either I can, okay, I wanted to create certain files. Okay, create a file. So here you can directly create a file or with this folder structure, that is fine. So with this folder structure, let's say I wanted to create DevOps folder. Inside DevOps folder, Jenkins folder and Jenkins.txt. Okay, let us create this folder structure. Let me look whether this folder structure is already created, is exist or not before that. Okay, it looks like DevOps folder is already exist. Now let us create different folder structure altogether. So being in the feature_2 branch, maybe S3 folder. Like, so if you put some name, like name of, I mean, if at all you wanted to create a folder, okay, so you can give test_folder, and the moment you put /, it considered as the folder test.txt. So that means inside this repository on feature_2 branch, I'm going to create S3 folder. Inside this folder, right, test_folder, and in which I'm going to create a test file. And if you want to have some content, so you can have some content on this file as well. Commit changes. Okay. Now let's say I wanted to bring back all the changes which we have developed on feature branch to master branch. So if you look at here, right, master branch does not have this S3 folder. Okay. Whereas if I go to feature_2, okay, I should be able to see this folder structure. S3 is the folder inside which we have another folder test_folder where we have some file test.txt file. Okay. So I can simply raise pull request, right, where the source branch like pointing to feature and then the target branch like base branch is like master as well. Before that, let me look for these settings. Okay, if I go to settings, if I go to master, I mean, if I go, if I go to branches, you can see there are no branch protection rules applied on the master branch. This is dev. Okay, so that means there are no branch protection rules enabled on the master branch. So if it does not enable branch protection rules, and you can directly make any commits onto the master branch itself. Now let me, right, either what I will do, since there are some branch protection rules applied on dev branch. Okay, so in order to apply any other rules, to any other branches, again, you need to create a new rule, add new rule, where you can specify the branch name and all. Otherwise, right, I'll just edit this branch itself, this branch protection rule itself. Instead of dev, I'll just put it as master. I'm just I want whatever the rules are specified here, these rules has to be applied on the master branch itself. Okay, so any commits which we wanted to make on master branch, it has to go through pull request, and then based on number of mandatory requirements, you will be specifying it here, either 1 or 2 and all. And yesterday I did not choose this option, require review from code owners. Okay, so this option we need to enable in order to, let's say, the reason being, we need to apply, we need to choose this code owners. So if you look at here, right, at times the same repository would be used by multiple projects. Okay, there may be a requirement where one repository is shared across multiple projects. Okay, so that means we will have the repository content which are shared across multiple projects. So what these projects people does, so they will have their own folder. Let's say assume like here project A. Okay, any files and folders which they create belonging to project A, they are going to create like this. Okay, and project B people. Okay, similarly we can have project C and all. So that means whenever I make any changes, like if somebody makes changes onto project A related folder, only project A related people should review that code and then approve it. Okay, the same is the case for other projects as well. If there are any changes made onto this project related folders, assume okay, this is a project B folder, only this project, project B people should be able to review the pull request and then approve it. Okay, for which what we do, we enable this one, require review from code owners. Again, this is one-time setup, enabling this branch protection rules. Okay, again, this setting should applicable even to the administrators as well. Save changes. 1 minute, guys. So now branch protection rules are applied on the master branch. Again, this is one-time setup. If you want to apply same set of rules for any other branches, you have to create another rule where you need to specify the required branch, whatever branch, be it UAT, QA, or staging, or release, any other branch. Let me go here back. Now this is where I need to write.
So Venu, can we do it at repository level instead of branch level?
No, this is branch protection rules. This cannot be done at the repository level. These are branch protection rules. See, if you look at here, right, branch protection rules.
Get it, but branch usually, let's say you're talking of different project teams, right? So having repository level control makes more sense than having a branch level control, right? So for example, I can create uh, separate repositories for the separate projects,
Yeah,
and
we will
then
have that as well. It is not necessary. We will see, right? What I said, like at times, it is not necessary that, okay, every time we will be using common repository for all the projects. See, you will have your own project related repositories. Okay, as long as your project code is not being shared to any other projects. So that means you will have a dedicated repository. There may be a use case where your project related files might have to share with any other project related stuff. That is where you will have a common repository where multiple project people will be storing on the same repository. Okay, this is just like a kind of corner case, and right where multiple project people will be storing or developing code onto the same repository. So that is where we have to have. I mean, even the code owners can also be developed on the repositories which are dedicated to your project as well. Clear, Ravi?
Yeah, I see your use case. For example, for the same project, some people can work on S3 piece, and some people can work on DevOps piece, and some people work on coding.
Correct.
And they have to collaboratively deliver this.
Correct.
So everybody needs access, but different level of access based on their roles and responsibilities.
Correct. Correct. So here, right, within this particular repository, uh, uh, you know, we will have multiple collaborators. Okay, from development team to DevOps team to any other apps teams. Okay, based on their roles. And if somebody is making any changes inside this DevOps folder, so ideally DevOps team is responsible for making developing any changes onto this Jenkins file. So developer should not be writing or should not even review the code. I mean, they can view it as long as, because they have access to this repository, they will view it, but they cannot approve any anything, any pull request which are making changes onto this this particular folder. You will understand little later while we do demo. But this is the use case.
Yeah, got it.
Okay, so branch protection rules has to be applied only at the branches level. Okay, so within this, right, you can also look for this code owners. You can just simply go to Google, right? If you wanted to know more about this code owners GitHub, about code owners GitHub docs, it will just give you like about code owners. You can just read these things, right? I just made it as simple for everybody's understand. So code owners is a special file in a GitHub repository that defines individual or teams responsible for reviewing changes to specific files or folders. Okay, and at the same time, it is automatic review assignments. Okay, so the moment, let me talk about this code owners format. Okay, so here, this is the same file we have to create. You should not create a file with a different name. Okay, your file name should supposed to be code owners in caps. Okay, code owners. So that means if any changes wants to make on the
what extension it takes?
No extension. Without any extension, you have to create a file with code owners. No extension. This file should not have any extension.
Okay.
Okay, since this code owners file exists on the master branch, and now let us see like what content resides in this. So right, the first thing is like the folders. It typically accepts only two things. If you see the pattern, okay, this is the code owners file format. The pattern is nothing but your folders. Okay, so that means if you put star, so that means it is like wildcard character, any files and folders it accepts. And then the owners, it can be one owner or it can be multiple owners as well. Okay, this is just an example of code owner, and this is just a pattern like syntax, how it has to be used. Okay, this is an example. So in this case, src/java. So that means this is a source code, which is for Java-based project. Okay, ideally, typically your developers are the responsible for making any changes inside this folder. Okay, for reviewing anything. So this is the folder structure /src/java, and like whatever developers GitHub user account. Okay, so in this case, right, I put it since we have used your ID here yesterday. So /DevOps, that means DevOps is the folder should exist on this branch. If any changes has to be done inside this DevOps folder, has to be reviewed by this person. Okay, and if you have multiple persons, you can just give space and then you can keep giving all their GitHub IDs. And again, this code owners file is like kind of one-time setup, unless you wanted to add any other new users or remove any other existing users. Is it clear, this syntax? It's very simple, straightforward syntax. Okay, there are two settings. One is like you should go to GitHub repository settings. So that is where you need to enable branch protection rules along with that option, review code owner settings. Okay, require review from code owner settings. This is one setting which you need to make. In addition to that, you also have to create code owners file. Let's say assume this code owners file. In this case, code owners file exists in the master branch. Okay, based on these rule sets, what we defined inside this code owners file, if any changes wants to make on this, see, I have commented out these things because I don't have a folder with src Java, and at the same time, right, we also have to have the user and all. So I just commented out, but this is the standard syntax. If you wanted to know more about this, it is just like if you know wildcard characters, all those things, it is easy. Okay.
So here we are providing the, so for directory, so in the directory we are providing the username. So
no, it is not like inside directory we are providing the username. That is not the case. So this is the syntax. What this syntax is like, your folder structure, space, and who are the users responsible for reviewing the changes inside these folders.
Yeah, inside
it is inside these folders. Yeah. This is your folder structure, space, the reviewer name.
Yeah, reviewer name.
Okay, you have to make sure that you have to give. Okay.
Yeah.
So here, as I know, Ravi's GitHub ID. So I have used this GitHub ID here.
Yeah, any modifications before the commit? So we have to do.
Correct. Now what I will do, again, if you look at here, right, this Codeowners file should be exist on the target branch. So in this case, I wanted to raise a pull request, which has to pull all the changes from feature_2 branch to master branch. Yeah. If the master branch has this Codeowners file with required configurations, right? Now let me, what I will do, actually this does not work the way how we expected, because as per Codeowners file, if Ravi wants to be a automatic approve, we had to make changes on the DevOps folder. Whereas I created S3 folder, which is not part of here. Either I need to update this Codeowners file pointing to S3, or let me make few changes on the DevOps folder itself. Now what I will do, let me go to feature_2. Okay, again, feature_2 is not a protected branch. That means you can make direct commits onto this feature_2 branch. Let me go to DevOps folder. So this is where I will create some file. Okay, 2.txt. Okay, now, so as we know, I have made, that means it is DevOps team's responsibility to make any changes inside this DevOps folder. Now let me raise pull request. See, the feature_2, and then base branch is master. Did I select this one? I didn't select this user, right? Automatically it has identified he is the code owner. If I would have made any changes on any other folders, like S3, if I would have specified as per Codeowners file for any changes on S3 folder, if some other user as the reviewer, automatically the moment I raise pull request, automatically these are the approvers who get selected as part of this one. It is like automatic, the reviewer gets updated. See, yesterday what I did, when we didn't use this Codeowners file, we had to manually choose like who are the required approvers. So assume like I supposed to get approval from my team lead. Okay, if I think that I wanted to bypass these changes from the team lead, I can just choose my colleague as the reviewer, because I can get his approval and then can make these changes, promote to master branch as well. But having this Codeowners file exists, you cannot bypass your own defined rules. You have to get approvals from the authorized people. Is it clear, everyone?
Yeah, fine.
Okay, from here on it is same. It is like automatic reviewer, and I mean this is how it works. Okay, create pull request. Instead of choosing manual approvals, it is like an automatic approval, and at the same time approving from the we are taking approvals from the right people. Now he has to approve, you can see code owner review is required. Ravi, you wanted to check?
Yeah, but I lost access to repository. I don't know something. I can share my screen.
You lost your access. You lost your access. What does it mean?
I lost access. GitHub. I got it. I got the pull request, But let me show let me share
You will
my
receive
screen.
mail, I think.
Yeah, you must have you may receive an email.
Let me share my screen.
This is how it works in real time.
Yeah, correct.
You gave me the access?
I gave you host access.
No, it's still not working.
Okay, that is fine actually. From here, I mean, I gave you. I mean, I can see that. Okay, Ravi is having host access from the participants list.
You should stop sharing, then only I can.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, okay. Now I stopped my screen sharing as well.
Yeah. So this is the request I got. Yeah.
Yeah, we can see your screen. Yeah, you can just review, approve.
Yeah. Review changes, right?
Yeah, review changes, and then you can give your comment and then approve. So that means, right, I'm getting approval from the right people instead of bypassing any changes.
Okay.
That's already.
So I can see repositories you own also. Yeah.
But
From my
yeah, correct.
in my account, I can't see you, but once you send the request, then I can see.
Correct.
Yeah. Look. If I switch back to my account, I don't have access to any of your repositories, and I don't see you also.
Okay.
Okay.
See, in order you to see my repository, you need to fork it. So
What?
when you fork Git, I mean, there is like no, you need to fork my repository. Can you go to my repository, the right side?
Yeah.
Little
You have
go
to
up.
switch the.
Oh, you want me to my repository? This is repository, right?
Repository. Updated 2 days ago. Okay.
No, this is fine. You go to my repository, the last tab. Little go up.
Sorry.
You can type it, right? Find repository.
No need, Ravi. Just go to that my repository, right? The fourth tab. Go to fourth tab.
I see stars.
Now stars is okay.
I don't have any
No,
other tabs.
I mean to say tab is nothing but where you have opened my repository. The Gmail, next to Gmail, there is a tab, right? Where you have opened my no, can you open my repository and then show me? Yeah, that is where I'm talking about. Okay.
This is
open my repository like GitHub_training.
I'm at the same. Oh, you want to open? You want this one?
Yeah, correct. I want you to open this one.
Okay.
There is an option fork. Okay, fork is there, right? Fork. Above this code, green code is there, right? There is a fork. No, little above. Correct. Click that. Now, this GitHub_training will come to your your account. Create a fork.
Okay.
See, forked from my account. Now you can see, right? Inside your account. Now, if you go to your account, you can refresh. See, GitHub-training.
Okay.
So that means
master. Okay.
You can only make any changes onto this repository, but you cannot make changes onto my repository on my account. But anyway, you are part of the repository on my account. You can make write any commits, but not anything with respect to administrator. But here, if you look at here, right, GitHub-training, since this repository is now exist on your account, now you can see that settings option also. Correct? Is it clear?
Yeah.
Okay, now I will reclaim host and then I will share my screen. So this is how, right, the code owners, and then how to raise pull request, how to get the approvals from the code request, how to merge, right? So this is the pull request which I raised, and if I open this pull request, again you can see everything like from which branch to which branch this pull request is raised, and what are the changes, and you can also check like who is the person who raised this pull request, all these things. And, okay, and this is fine. Now let's to match. Okay, and I can see his comments as well. Like, okay, the moment he gets approved, and assume like, okay, I would have selected 2 as the minimum mandatory approvers. Okay, as per this branch protection rules. Assume only one person I have got approval. Unless I get one more person approval, this particular button will not get enabled. Okay, so this will get enabled only after we get all the required approvals. Okay, in this case, I have specified only one and I have got only one approval. This should be good enough. Hence, this is enabled. Confirm merge. Okay, so this is about code owners file, and right, all the steps, including the screenshots, are clearly documented here. The next topic is like, right, we have already known git merge, and then git merge we already did it, but this is consideringly this is a kind of an interview question. Sometimes they may ask you like, what is the difference between git merge and then rebase? Hence, I wanted to show you. So assume like, okay, on the master branch, I have 3 commits. A, B, C are 3 different commits. You know, we made it on the master branch. And the moment you create feature branch out of master branch, it is as good as you are bringing all the changes. Okay, so that means your feature branch will also be with A, B, C commits. And after that, I may be doing few more commits. Assume, okay, I made D as the commit and E as the commit here. Okay, now what I will do, I wanted to bring these feature branch changes, which is D and E, to master branch. So what we will do, we will check out to master branch. Being in the master branch, we will run this git merge feature branch. So whenever we run git merge and then the feature branch, see, typically what we did, we made 2 commits here. These 2 are the commits so it's supposed to come to master branch. In addition to that, merge creates, it's a new commit. Okay, that means we will know like what, where, no, instead of bringing, in addition to bringing these 2 commits, as part of merge command, it creates a new commit, which brings all the changes made onto your feature branch. Okay, so that means git merge combines the changes from one branch to another branch by creating a new merge commit that preserves the history of both the branches, resulting in a non-linear history. So that means whenever we run this git merge command, it creates a new commit, okay, which brings all the changes made onto your feature branch. But if I look for this rebase command, the same example, if master branch is having 3 commits and I made 2 extra commits onto the feature branch, the command wise it is same. You just have to put here whether you wanted to merge or rebase. When you do this rebase command, git rebase and then the feature branch, you can also look for all the this commit history and all with this command git log -1. So it, as part of git rebase command, it won't create new commit history here. So you will see right here, you will not see that the new commit ID. Rather, what it does, any changes made onto your feature branch, these changes will just added on top of your master branch. So that is where you can see when you run this git log -1 line, you will see, so this you should be running on the master branch after doing rebase. So you should be able to see the commit history like this: the first commit, second commit, and then third commit, and then whatever commits you made it onto your feature branch, they will get added to the master branch. So this is the only difference, and right, right? You can do this one hands-on, as I gave you clearly instructions here. It is just about creating some dummy commits, right, and onto some master branch, and then creating feature branch out of it. Make few more commits onto the feature branch, and then go back to your master branch, do run this command, git merge command. So typically it is like we are bringing all the changes, whatever we made onto feature, whatever we made onto feature branch, bringing all those things to master branch. Okay. So at times, right, this is an interview question. So I wanted to demonstrate this one. You just do hands-on, and this is again simple. It's not that difficult. And the reason being, these steps are like sometimes, right, whenever we run this git merge command, there is fast forward merge. There is something called fast forward merge, which would have enabled by default. We need to disable, like we need to disable this merge fast forward. Okay, FF means fast forward. So we need to disable this option. If we don't disable this option, you will not see this new merge commit happens. Like if somebody wanted to know like what has happened, right? It is like an history, nothing much. Okay. So if you do git merge, you will come to know when you look for this, history of all the commits, you will come to know like what has happened on each and every stage and all. Okay. I might. Okay. There is a command. Okay, let me show you one screenshot. Okay, it looks like I don't have that screenshot. Okay, it looks like I don't have that screenshot. So probably, right, I will give you one command. Let me just look at that command. Let us do it quickly here. Git log. Git log -hyphen one line. This we know. It gives the commit history in one line. And you can just add -hyphen graph. Okay, so, right. Normally, right, this is like master branch commits. If there are any, I would say, right, git checkout. Yeah, we have to do some kind of exercise to see like, right, how it will be. I just wanted to draw something so that you can understand better. So assume like this is my master branch, okay, with few commits. And this is where I create new feature branch. From here, this is A commit, and this is B commit. So that means I have two commits onto the master branch, and assume like this is the master branch. From the master branch, so this is where after making two commits, I created a feature branch called like this is the feature branch. Just put it as here. Feature branch. Here I further make few commits. Okay, so this, see, this will continue to grow like this. So you will further make few more changes. So your master branch will continue to grow like this, whereas your feature branch will continue to grow in a parallel development. So, right, you can make like a number of changes, right? I can put it as, right, C or D or whatever it is, commits. And whenever you go here, and then when you run here git merge, and like feature branch, So this will come here like this. This is not a great tool to draw something, but yeah. Yeah, so any changes you made here like E or F, and after this, when you run this git log -1 line, and then when you use this graph command, you should be able to see something like it is going like this, and somewhere it will take it redirect like this. That means we have diverged master branch to feature branch, and that is where we will be committing something from here, and then we will again merge like this. So it will be like this. So when you run git log, you'll come to know exactly what has happened. Like, okay, what are the direct commits, and right, what are the in which what time we have got merged from any other branches. Is this clear? So as part of git merge command, it creates a new merge commit, and at the same time, it brings all these commit history. And when you do git rebase command, instead of direct committing here, it just apply, let's say assume like here I have two commits, A and B. So when you do git rebase command, it just brings these two commits, E and F will be applied here. Okay, on top of your master branch. Okay, so that's all with git merge and then git rebase. You can do hands-on. And I wanted to talk about few best practices while using GitHub. So do not commit secrets or password to, like, as we commit, right, as we create some files, and right. So typically the file is nothing but, okay, inside we are going to keep some, right, some content. So now as part of best practices, we should not store any secrets or passwords onto your code. Okay, let's say assume like you might have created an AWS account, or we generate this kind of tokens. So that means token is nothing but it is a secret key to your accounts. So if you are storing your secret key or passwords or any credentials onto GitHub repositories, since this is a public repository, if I go back, so right, if you see, I mean, this is a public repository. How do we know whether this is a public repository or private repository? If I go to my account, right, see, Terraform training, this is a public repository. Okay, that means it will show you like all these are public repositories. And again, we can convert from public repository to private as well. Let me see whether I have any private repositories. Okay, so what I will do, I will convert the same repository from public to private. So what I had to do for this, go to repository settings. So when this repository is of type is public, so that means anybody can access this repository. So that means if I can share you this GitHub URL, and you can view any changes from here, but you cannot make any modifications, but you can clone all the changes from here. But if I make this repository from public to private, and you cannot even clone it. Okay, so for which what you need to do, you need to go to repository settings, scroll down all the way, change repository visibility. Okay, just click here, change visibility, change to private. Okay, so the lock will be applied here. Even if I share you this URL, or if I share you this, you cannot clone it. Okay, even if I share you this URL, or if you have this URL, you cannot clone this URL anymore, because it is a private repository. Apart from me, no other persons can access this repository. Okay, so no matter whether it is a public repository or private repository, it is a best practice not to store any secrets or passwords, onto your GitHub repositories. and do not commit large libraries. Okay, so typically, right, any repositories we use just to store source code. Let's say, right, you might have worked something like build and artifacts, where you may be generating 1 GB artifact. So Git is not intended to store large files. Let's say you wanted to store 1 GB file. Okay, so you need to plan it such a way that you should not be storing 1 GB file onto your GitHub. Okay, so GitHub is meant to store a small files, which is like your source code. So if at all, because it is like, since source code version control is enabled, like that is the purpose of this GitHub. If you are storing 1 GB file and if you are making a number of versions, it is as good as you are consuming more and more storage, and Git does not recommend to store large file sizes. Okay, for which we will be using, or we will be dealing some other tools that I will be talking it little later. So we typically use JFrog, and we have something called Artifactory tools. Okay, so either we can use JFrog, Nexus, or if we are using AWS, we can use AWS ECR, Elastic Container Registry, and all. Those things we will be discussing it, as we as we go on. But for now, just remember, Git is not intended to store large binaries. Do not commit local configuration files. So can anybody tell me, like, how do we skip pushing some changes from local repository to central repository?
You're asking
commit.
Yeah, I am asking
Git.
a question to everyone. So my expectation is that I would have created some files here. So assume like, okay, touch 200 or 500. I don't want this 200, 500 files to be pushed to central repository.
.git ignore.
Yeah. So what we had to do, we had to create .git ignore file and then place these files inside the .git ignore file, so that these files will never be pushed onto your central repository. Okay. So that means your local configuration files, do not commit local configuration files to your central repository. So for which you need to create .git ignore and then add those files into, because these files are of no use. Even if you push these files to central repository, it is of no use. Right? Put useful commit message. That means you have to put meaningful commit messages while you are doing any commits. And right.
We know one question here.
Yes.
Instead of the git ignore, right? When we do the git add, but just I'm using only the file names. So how difference does it make? So I'm just using the file names. I'm logically ignoring them.
So when you do git add, are you ignoring it?
Yeah, git add only the file names. Whatever the files which I want to commit, only those file names I'll be specifying it.
Selectively pick. Okay, selectively.
Yes,
the reason being we have staging area is that, right? It is like, right, just think of it. Okay.
Yeah, I got it. The staging area, those things I got it. But if I do in this approach, that is also kind of ignoring only.
But
Try
at some
with
point
merge.
of time,
Yeah, try with merge. When try to merge and uncommitted file resides in local repository, might give you trouble.
yeah.
Okay.
So when you have okay, I will tell you one use case as well again. So right, git add 200 and then 500. Okay, anyway, this is local branch, but right, we cannot just have these files in a staging area and as if that. Okay, I understand. If what we do, we can just simply commit only single file, git commit with single file, and then right, now ignoring it. But we don't recommend but how long you can going to have these files here? But again, it actually creates some problems when you're creating new branches and all.
Yeah.
Okay, we always recommend. Yeah, that's not the best practice actually. Okay. And we don't, right? You always see, as on today, we may be dealing only with few files, but in real time, you may be dealing with hundreds of files.
Correct.
Okay, and it is impossible to remember like what are your local files, what are supposed to push it to central repository. That is like additional headache which you need to remember all the time.
Correct.
It is like unnecessary carrying things.
Correct.
Commit frequently and in small amount. So right, the reason being why we need to commit is that for your reversion, which is easy. Okay, so let's say if you are making 100 changes in single commit, and the moment you revert, it is like as good as you are reverting all 100 changes. So rather, right, it is like developers, right? Anything with respect to commits, it is like developers' best practices. And also the coding, okay? So they may have to use some kind of variables, okay? So as I said, the moment they start work, they always have to, they have to fetch the latest code from the central repository. So before they start working on any code, they have to run command called git pull, so that it brings all the changes from central repository. From there, they can further write, do any development and all. Okay, so use git stash to save any incomplete code for a branch. Okay, this we have demonstrated detail like how git stash work and all. Okay, these are some of the best practices which we have to use it while we are using GitHub. Okay, so here I have put a kind of project. So what this project is like, I want everyone to follow these steps and then complete these things, like create a repository. So the expectation is that like you need to go to your central, right? You need to go to your GitHub account where I asked you to create a repository. Okay, so you can go to repositories. So this is where you need to create a new repository. Okay, similar to like this. You can name it any repository. So the moment you create a repository, it gets created with default branch. Clone that repository to local, make first commit, and then read all these instructions. Okay, like create 2 branches, right? Feature 1 and then feature 2 out of your master branch, and then make some commits. All right, introduce some conflicts, and then raise pull request, and then see whether you are able to match. Okay, also enable branch protection rules on any of these branches. Typically, you will be enable branch protection rules on master branch or UAT branch and all, and then see whether it will allow you to make direct commits or not. If it does not allow you direct commits, the only option is that you have to go through your pull request, and then try to see like adding new reviewers, like defining Codeowners file, introduce some configs, resolving these configs, and also demonstrate like, right, it is just like in a kind of practice or exercise an item to every one of you. You made some commits and then try to revert those commits. Okay, and then right, you also use this command git reset -- soft flag, and then see whether you will go back to that previous state where pointing to that particular state, okay, based on the commit. And then towards the end of the day, right, whatever GitHub the repository which you created and then made all these changes, you share that repository URL to me. I will just review it the way how you did it. Is it clear? And all these things are already demonstrated as part of our class, but I just gave you a sample kind of exercise for you to do it. Is it clear? The expectation to everyone?
Yes, Venu.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
this is very simple. There is nothing you feel it as difficult as you have followed all these classes clearly. And I have also put here some GitHub interview questions and answers. You can just go through. This is like, again, everything is demonstrated clearly. You should be able to understand easily. And right from now on, right, I mean, with today we are done with GitHub. Right, you can go through all these interview questions and then learn it. So with this, we are done with GitHub. Don't pile up your things. Right, we are just done only one tool. Okay, and right, as we move on, we will be dealing with a lot of tools. And if you are completing all these things in time, right, you'll be in a good position to catch up remaining things and all. Yeah, if you have any questions, I can take it up now.
I don't have any, Venu.